On a surface level, I'm researching how a visual AI can make us re-relate to our own bodies and each other, and can change and shift our sensual concepts of what it means to be a bodily being. And then on a deeper level, I am trying to explore how we can look beyond a human perspective and even imagine non-human futures. But mostly I'm just extremely curious visually what we can play with, because it doesn't think like us. It really comes up with new stuff, even if it sometimes exploits norms and is completely biased. It also is very fluid. And the complexity that it's getting at now, together with my own prompting and iterations, can really create stuff that is beyond what I can imagine and beyond what AI could do without me. It was very important to me when somebody told me that there's a lot of people talking about AI, but when they were in this piece, they finally could feel something towards it that they didn't expect. That is what I want to reach with myself and with my audience. I think the Oracle ritual for the future, my new work, is make a future development more tangible. That's something I do with all my work, and I'm super interested in how we are intellectually thinking about certain things, but feeling different things, and I want to confront that, contrast that, ambiguize that, so we can re-explore what we think, and we can actually feel things together and then discuss them.
My research during the NFF Fellowship is about machine learning, also to make a potentially a children's TV series about machine learning. In these videos, I've used to create characters that sort of explore these worlds that are taught to the cameras. And in the last of my films, I've used machine learning to also animate a character, and that was specifically a chair. And so I was interested in bringing life, so to speak, to a character that otherwise we experience as inanimate. The starting point for the research, I think for me, which I've grown up with American TV, animatronics, the sort of oversynthesized world of sort of late Sesame Street, early Disney's, and trying to create something for the current audiences that has some of that sort of playful aspect, but at the same time has a different kind of pace, has a different kind of storyline that perhaps isn't so cookie cutter as a lot of the media that we see today. I think kids certainly hold within them deeply philosophical questions. The way that technology is being marketed right now is sort of erasing perhaps a certain wonder and a certain philosophical aspect of the world. Trying to give answers to questions we might not have had. And so I think there, I find machine learning an interesting moment that we're now all facing to get back to a certain philosophical self, perhaps, and to dare to ask questions that, you know, could seem dumb or boring, but they're really not. I think they're just fundamental questions about the way we want to shape our life.
During the fellowship with the Netherlands Film Festival, we've been researching a project called Applied Science Fiction. We've been interested in imagination and how often, particularly with regards to digital technology, but more generally in our world with what we think is possible, we're often really lacking imagination around what we can do as people, as the public. With Applied Science Fiction, we've been interested in co-creation as a methodology, working with people who historically haven't been involved in creating digital technology and building AIs, new mapping tools, social media, new forms of communication tools together, but built on values and needs from these communities instead of the usual people who are giving pretty much all the technology we use in the world today. The initial seed of the project came from a few crossovers. One was seeing this hopelessness amongst everyone we were speaking to around digital technology and feeling like the only approach was a defensive one, and we really wanted to show that there's a proactive one. At the same time, I, for the first time in my life, got really into science fiction, so I just started reading so much science fiction and was going through like novels every week, and I realized there was this link between the two. One of the surprises with the research was how moved people were to build their own technologies. When we were working with older folks in particular, when building AIs, we could see that suddenly they felt like, okay, I have agency in this world. I can build AI, something I could barely understand before or felt I couldn't understand. And we're shaping things with kind of cutting edge tools. And you know, these people would say how they'd spoken to their grandchildren about AI and they were working with like retrieval augmented generation, and they were just like so proud of themselves, and apparently their grandchildren were just like shocked. We don't need more coders in digital technology. We need more people thinking about the world and what technology we need within it. More than raising the question for the audience, we're really interested in seeing this work as an invitation, and in particular an invitation to think about digital technology differently. Instead of digital technology being this thing that is far off and controlled by other people, we want to view technology as something that we can shape, as something that communities down the street can build their own AI, you know, a family can build their own mapping tools. So instead of digital technology being something that we just receive passively, it's something that we co-create aligned with what we need in the world.